Hi, Astro friends. It's Melanie on the 19th of November 2025. We are approaching the Phoenix New Moon. What's Phoenix New Moon? The new moon on the very cusp from Scorpio to Sagittarius, which I call the Phoenix point. There's so much going on this cuspy energy, and I'll show you the chart right away. Voila. So as you see, this is all this entourage of the new moon at the very end of Scorpio. We have here Lilith, we have the sun and moon, we have Mercury retrograde, which just re-entered Scorpio yesterday, the 18th, and we have Venus. So that's a lot. And then we have symmetrically to Venus, we have Mars leading in Sagittarius, so to say, right? So they both sandwich, Venus and Mars, sandwich this whole new moon dynamic. Plus, we have Uranus, very end of Taurus, which it entered on November 7th, opposing the new moon, or rather the new moon stepping into this opposition with Uranus. Plus, we're having also what's called a Grand Water Trine. And we have even an extension to what is called a kite, right? Kite figure. So what's with all of this? First of all, the Phoenix point. Phoenix energy burning through so much that has been processed and maybe has died in our lives, and arising from the ashes, where we are moving upward, where the spirit is free. This is very Phoenix energy. And this is what's emphasized at this point with the new moon. We rise again, yet we have also needed to go really deep and really dive into shadow, dive into unprocessed, especially emotional, repressed, or a deeper material that would have come up for you in the last phase, in the last new moon to new moon phase. So from the tipping point new moon on the 21st of October, check out that period of the last 4 weeks, until this also cuspy new moon. Basically these two new moons framed the Scorpio season. And so would be totally worth reviewing, especially as now Mercury is retrograde. What's been going on, what has brought up your deeper, maybe hidden, or maybe, more embarrassing sides that you hide from the outside world, and where has it taken you to your core? Where has it taken you to what is always there, what is indestructible, and what actually is quite powerful and can be regenerative when you sort of come out with it, right? Coming out of the shadow, of the darkness, is also Phoenix. And this is, it's an alchemical process. Plus, we're having Uranus, right opposite that new moon, which is very liberating. It wants to bring us into freedom, into embodied freedom, into feeling comfortable and free, but not being in our comfort zone, let alone comfort trap, right? So also maybe change from the Scorpio side is required, where we have to face our demons, as I say with Scorpio, and that can let us be free. So yeah, we're dealing with this dynamic of end of Scorpio, end of Taurus, and if you have planets, sun and moon, on either side, or even both, or also end of Leo and end of Aquarius, right, in square to it, that would definitely trigger things. So, but all of this are catalysts for this deeper change that we're in this bigger transition of eras, where we're coming out of the old Pisces age, where a lot of things have been enabled to be in the shadows, and lots of mass manipulation has happened. And yeah, so revelation is a big thing now, which is also Scorpio to Sagittarius. And it's needed for this transition into a new era where we're moving into the Aquarius age, which is all about transparency. And yeah, and that's often not without turmoil, right? So the old empire and the old monsters die hard, yet the process is underway. Sorry, a little shaking here going on. And yeah, so that new moon also has, as I said, a grand trine attached, or it is has been moving into that water trine that's already happening between Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn, Neptune in Pisces. So here is end of Scorpio. This is a very fluid situation, so to say, right? So a lot of things are in flux, a lot of flushing is going on, a lot of releasing is going on, and things come out that really make us very emotional and bring out our deeper sides, but also bring out our compassion, our care. Self care is important with Jupiter now stationary in Cancer, and maybe backtracking, literally, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, from backtracking from what we had, um, envisioned, but coming back into our home, our inner home, find home and belonging within first, right? Before we are expanding and outwardly. Jupiter is now freshly retrograde since the 11th of November until the 11th of March. So it is on that note a real inward Cancer is also inward movement, especially if you have any planets end of Cancer. You will be also affected end of Capricorn, end of Aries, and end of Libra, but mostly Cancer itself. And yeah, so speaking of retro, we are still in the retro record window of the year with 6 planets retrograde since Jupiter went retro on the 11th until, what am I doing with the light? Okay, it's like, because it's really dark here in the meantime. I think that might be better. Okay, let's see. Okay, I was probably a little bit too bright and too reflective. Anyway, so yeah, we are in the retro record window. Let me just take a sip of water as well. Taking care of needs, right? That's very Cancerian. Retro record window of the year, November 11th until the 27th, when Saturn goes out of retro, or also 29th, of course, when Mercury goes out of retro. That will be quite a shift next week. But we're not quite there yet. This is still a retro record, totally in it now. And in a way, the Phoenix New Moon is the core of it. Phoenix New Moon tonight / tomorrow, if you're a Central Standard Time or east of. Phoenix New Moon is also the core of the Grand Water Trine, right? Which has been on since mid-October and goes till early December. So we're right in the center of it right now. So allowing and going with our rhythm. So if you need now retreat, literally asleep, that would be all apropos, right? Allowing the body and the whole system to process what's going on currently in the field. Yeah, and especially with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, because Neptune is in its own sign of Pisces, and this is all about washing out the the whole toxicity, in fact, and residues of the Pisces age as we are preparing to step into a new era. And since end of the water signs, where all these 3 corners are, with up to 6 planets involved, which is quite a lot, right? So end of each of the water signs, end of Scorpio, end of Cancer, and end of Pisces has also a Pisces undertone, plus Neptune is in Pisces. So Neptune is super important, plus Jupiter is super important too, because all the trines have a Jupiter a characteristic, plus Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So it's a very strong energy that wants to assist us right now and wants to be actually a gift, a grace, right? It's redeeming grace, I said in the newsletter. By the way, the Astro News newsletter for the Phoenix New Moon, her entourage, and the whole phase until the next supermoon on December 4th just went out via video tonight. So you might receive it if you already you will receive it if you have already subscribed. And if you'd like to do so, you can shoot me a video, shoot me a email, and I put you on my list, and you're in from the supermoon on. Yeah, a few glitches happened with Mercury retrograde, so please forgive me. I won't do another take. It's usually just one take I take for the videos here. Keep them a little bit longer in compensation for the lack of perfection. Speaking of lack of perfection, we are now also this whole year since end of January, and this goes on until next August, in the nodal dynamic with the south node in Virgo, the north node in Pisces. Again, Pisces leads. Virgo doesn't have such good or to say support right now. Virgo is actually showing where it can get too much, right? So if you're too perfectionistic or too much problem focused, too much fiddling around with details, and too worried, all of that can take a lot of energy, and we see that right now. And that would have been also a price of the shadow, in a way, the reflection of the Pisces age, where there has been a rotating cycle of suffering, of victims, of perpetrators, of saviors and helpers, all being codependent on each other. But maybe we don't need that whole dynamic so much anymore, because a lot of that has been actually engineered and fabricated. Speaking of wars, especially, right? And so on. And a lot of religion has been institutionalized and mediated spirituality, and has been in itself instrumentalized by powers with actual economic, Virgo, or territorial interests to wage apparently ideological wars. So all of that is on the way out now, and we are invited to not participate anymore, not going into victim mode and blame them for what they all do to us, but actually to not engage, right? And not give them attention, but actually be freer than that and step into our embodied freedom. This is the invitation of the Aquarius age. This is the invitation of Uranus in Taurus also. And so what's going on this week? Well, I want to mention also, if you have noticed lately, and especially also with this new moon, that energy could have gotten quite stuck. So I talked about the flushing and all that of the Grand Water Trine, which thankfully is there. Otherwise, it would be quite a locked, stuck situation with so much fixed energy. You can see here in the chart that fixed is super strong, and that comes specifically from Scorpio. Leo only because of the ascendant, when the new moon will be in Victoria, and also the Taurus midheaven depends on that. But it is mostly Scorpionic, fixed, and actually really a deep process that has a holding pattern, to put it neutrally. But as soon as the energy moves more into Sagittarius, there will be more momentum. And speaking of that, what's with all this momentum towards Sagittarius even this week already? before I get to that, Mercury retro, I want to quickly address also the Mercury retro Sun situation that we're having tomorrow. What does that mean? It's the halfway point of Mercury retrograde since the 9th until the 29th of November, and tomorrow, the 20th, will be the day when Mercury retrograde meets the Sun and goes in the zodiac behind the Sun, from Earth perspective, of course. And that is also called a new Mercury. So we having, following this new moon, having also new Mercury. Mercury is linked to this new moon, as you see here again in the chart, right? So we have Sun, Moon, Mercury, even Lilith nearby, but those are super tight. And that halfway point of Mercury retro is also called the point of enlightening insights. What does that mean? We have been, again, processing a lot mentally, having hopefully become more mindful again with Mercury retro and not being caught in the traps of the mind, but actually watching the mind for all its traps and tricks and being, more conscious, which is the Sun, rather than having our mind so full and having the mind always being in a driver's seat. So now, from tomorrow on, technically, factually, the Sun will be ahead in the zodiac. Mercury will be after the Sun in the zodiac, and be then eventually also a morning star. It's a bit confusing because from the rising perspective, when the Mercury is further behind in the zodiac, Mercury will rise before the Sun. I can show you how that works. Okay, so here you have Mercury will move backwards still, right, till the 29th in Scorpio, while the Sun will move forward inside into Sagittarius. So when we have sunrise, here would be sunrise, right? So the horizon will be like this. Then when Mercury is further back in Scorpio, and the Sun further in Sagittarius, Mercury will rise before, and then the Sun will rise. So that will give Mercury a morning star quality, which is attributed to Mercury and to Venus, right? They are in their evening star phase and in their morning star phase, and this is the shift happens with the retrograde process. So anyway, as Mercury will be behind the Sun, in other words, also spirit, consciousness, the heart can lead and mind can follow, which is good news. And typically, therefore, also a better time to make conscious plans or have visions and moving forward, and not so much being, driven from the mental attachments. I've been asked when's a good time if you have to start something new these days. Yes, somewhat better now with the Phoenix New Moon. It is a new moon. It is Mercury, also new Mercury. But if you can, wait until the next new moon, which will be on the 19th of December, just before winter solstice. And by then, also, more of the retrogrades have unraveled. Mercury retro will be out of post-retro storm, which is still in until the 4th of December, and post-retro shadow even, which goes till the 17th. And then we have by then we have also Saturn out of retro, 27th of November. And what else do we have out of retro? Early December. Wait a minute. Okay. Do we have Neptune? Yeah, we have Neptune out of retro on December 10th. It is. Yeah. So Yeah, I would wait if I have that option. Anyway, we have as I said, a lot of momentum from Scorpio to Sagittarius. Let's get into that. And the first part will be the Sun entering Sagittarius, and that, of course, the Moon first, right? So the Moon will enter Sag tomorrow, the 20th, at 2:30, 2:26 a.m., just 1 hour after the last alignment. Anyway, at 2:26 a.m., the Moon will cross over the Phoenix point into Sagittarius. So this will be already such a momentum and feeling more uh, free and relieved, but hopefully also having done uh, your homework, so to say. And then the Sun will enter Sagittarius. It will cross over the Phoenix point again on Friday the 21st at 5:36 p.m. That's when the Sagittarius season starts, and we are moving towards the returning light as the days are getting shorter, and it's getting darker or darker sooner, and but we move with the inner heart light, with the inner trust, and knowing that light carries us, the inner light carries us to the returning light, and the solar light will return. And of course, the season before winter solstice, before Christmas, all the lights are going up, and hopefully, mostly the inner heart light. And yeah, so 21st of November, just in 2 days, we have Sagittarius starting. Then we have also Venus entering Sagittarius. That will be on the okay, that will be on the 30th. Yeah, on the 30th, next Sunday. We're not quite there with the Astro Week, just a little heads up. And the last one to enter, no, wait a minute, also first comes Mercury, is still going back in Scorpio, but will enter Sagittarius on December 11th, and then on December 21st, Lilith will even move from Scorpio to Sagittarius. And I saw a post the other day regarding the next lunar or Chinese New Year of the horse coming in. And we have now the year of the wood snake, right? So this will be a fire horse. And that goes actually really well with Venus, with Lilith then also being in Sagittarius, right? And okay, I have this light reflection. You've already been putting up with it for a while. Thank you. And so, what else is on this week? The weekend, we have a relatively tranquilo weekend, except on Friday, before the sun goes into Sag, actually, the sun at the very end of Scorpio will also oppose Uranus exactly. I mean, the alignment is already there with the new moon, but 2 days after the new moon, that will be even exact for the sun. So, again, this has a lot to do with liberation and liberation of consciousness, and even through dark, going through dark moments, but seeing at the end of Scorpio also how everything is connected in essence, and we are not isolated in the dark. We can be free if our spirit is free. So, what else do we have this Astro Week? We have on Monday Mars already in Sag, in square with the nodal axis. I mentioned the nodal axis before. South node being in Virgo, North node being in Pisces, and Mars will move into that T-square alignment with them. That doesn't happen very often. Happens every year, once here and then a year later on the other side. So, yeah, Mars is the outlet. So, in other ways, it's about moving and um, mobilizing, I should say, mobilizing our heart energy and coming away from the forever worry, forever problem focus and details and issues and so on, Virgo. And seeing also, Sagittarius has to do with seeing with perspective. It literally rules the eyes, the vision, and the third eye. And so moving with our heart, as the little prince says, only the heart can truly see, right? Um, and uh, and then seeing how everything is connected, how we can open our hearts and open our energy field. That's all Pisces, and things, uh, solutions come, right? And connections come from the heart. Then we have this Astro Week. Yeah, so let's go into the um, decades. So we're moving out of the last and third decade of Scorpio now with Pisces undertone, which I talked about. And with the Sagittarius season starting, we're having the Aries undertone of the first 10 degrees or 10 days of Sagittarius. That's December 22nd, sorry, November 22nd to December 1st. We're having this with this Aries undertone. So it's about being the spark that ignites the hearts, and also it's about freedom and autonomy and authenticity. So all of that gets activated, and it's a fiery, spirited time for sure. And it's also about trying ourselves out, trying out something new. Aries is where currently Chiron is. This is where the medicine is also of renewal, of stepping into the new, trying it out. If it's not for us, we can always backtrack, says Jupiter in Cancer, and yeah, and start fresh. Then we have the moon this week. So yes, new moon tonight. Then the moon will enter Sagittarius, as I said, tomorrow the 20th at 2:26 a.m. Will be in Sag until Saturday at 2:53 p.m. when she enters Capricorn. So that cusp I call the integrity point, because here we are called to walk our talk, to actually implement what we know and understand, and yeah, and build also based on our understanding. With Sagittarius, it's all spirit. With Capricorn, it's very much matter, right? And priorities, right? So it's also a shift maybe from Sagittarian abundance and maybe overabundance, so basically um, waste from the Capricorn side, to more simplicity and groundedness. And that groundedness really is important these days because we have basically nothing in earth signs. We just have the south node, which doesn't help much, in Virgo, and we have Uranus, which is not very earthy anyway, in Taurus. So once the moon goes into an earth sign and fast moving planets eventually go into Capricorn, it will be a shift also to more groundedness. But for the time being, it's the moon in Capricorn, as I said, Saturday afternoon, all day Sunday, and all day Monday until Tuesday at 2:16 a.m. when she goes into Aquarius. So Capricorn will dominate the weekend, and that can be a wonderful time to actually go out to nature and also really embrace the change of the season, ground ourselves, and also deal with some priorities in life, right? Then the moon in Aquarius makes us very social, and That starts on Tuesday the 25th. And as she will be entering Aquarius, she will meet Pluto, which is in early Aquarius, on the same afternoon. So, in terms of being social, also seeing where our soul connections are socially, with friends, with community, and where things need processing, or maybe too much shadow is there, or the evolution is not really supporting it. No judgment, just different, and so on. And so that's the end of the Astro Week and of this video. I wish you a beautiful week fueled by the Phoenix Moon. Bye.